All right, here's a video for practice A on 2.4 section. We're looking at the point and vertex form for the first three. It says write an equation of the parabola. So we've been looking at parabolas. We know parabolas are U-shaped and they're made by quadratics, which you can see our point and vertex form has a little square in it, x minus h quantity squared. So that makes it a quadratic equation, which would give us a parabola. It'll be either a U shape or it'll be an N shape. And that all depends on the A. If the A is positive, it'll be a U. If the A is negative, it'll be an N. So what we want to do is see if we can make an equation if we only have two pieces. If we have a point and we have a vertex, could we actually come up with an equation? So let's go ahead and try that. Let me show you how it works. Now, any point on the graph represents an x and a y value. So your 6 is x and your y is 4. The vertex for purposes of our equation is going to represent the h, comma, and the k. So we've got h and k there. I don't need the comma. So h and k. So you got x and y as your point, you got h and k is your vertex. Now basically all we're going to do is plug it in. So I'm going to do number one right here. I'm just going to plug it into the formula. It's going to be y equals, so that's 4 equals, because 4 was my y. And then it's going to be x minus h, so it's going to be 6 minus 2. So I got the a. I don't know what the a is yet. I got to leave that there. That's what I'm trying to figure out. It's going to be 6 minus 2 quantity squared, then plus k. Well, k is a negative, so instead of doing a plus negative, we're just going to put minus 3, because k is negative. Now, keep in mind that this sign here is a negative in the formula. You can see this formula has a negative with the h. So if your h is negative, which it wasn't here, it was a positive 2, but if the h was negative, that would flip back to a positive. So really what you're looking at inside of the equation is x and then the opposite of whatever h is. So x and the opposite of the 2 is negative 2. And now you can solve this. So 4 equals a, and then 6 minus 2 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So a times 16 and then minus 3. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So I'm going to get 7 equals 16a, because a times 16 is 16a, and divide by 16. So we get a equals 7 over 16. Now that would be your a value. They want us to write an equation. So the equation is y equals, equations always have x and y in it. Y equals, the a value is 7/16. We're plugging in everything except x and y. So x minus 2 squared, and then minus 3. So that would be your equation right there. Let me box it up for you. That's how you would do numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now, I'm still going to do number 2 for you, but these take a little bit of work, so you have to, just be patient and spend the time and plug everything in and solve it. So in number 2, let me move this up to there. That way you can see number 2 still, and you can still see the work for number 1 if you need it. Number 2, your x is negative 3. Your y is negative 10. That's good that they're negative, so we can see how that works. And then your h is a positive 3, and your k is a negative 8. Okay, so let's plug all that in. So we're going to get y equals, which would be negative 10 equals, a is what we're trying to solve for to get our equation. X is negative 3 minus h, and the h is 3, so it's just a minus 3 squared, And then plus k means plus negative 8, which is just the same as minus 8. So we are going to bring down the negative 10. That's going to be negative 6 in here. Negative 6 squared. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36 times a, and then minus 8. So we need to add 8. And so you're going to get a negative 2 equals 36a, and then divide by 36. So a equals, and you can reduce that, cut them both in half, you get negative 1/18. So your equation then is y equals negative 1/18 parentheses x minus 3 squared minus 8. So we plugged in the a, we plugged in the h, we plugged in the k. Always leave x and y in the problem. So there's 1 and 2. Okay, that's how you would solve the first group, write an equation of those. So what happens when there's a 0 in there? Let's look at number 3. Okay, so I'll put it over here and I'll do number 3 up here. So you can see that. We've got 0 for the x value. And we got y is 5. H is negative 1. Let's see what that happens when h is negative, and k is 4. Okay, so we're just going to plug it into our formula. Y equals means we have negative 5 equals. A we don't know. X minus h is inside the parentheses, so x is 0 minus h is negative 1. Now you see what happens when you have two negatives, they become pluses. Squared and then plus k, so plus 4. So now we can solve it. We get negative 5. Now 1 squared is still 1, so that's just a plus 4. And if you subtract 4 on both sides, since these are both negative, you get negative 9 equals a. So your equation is a little easier on this one. There's no fraction. Y equals negative 9 x plus 1 squared, because it was x plus 1 inside of there, if you remember. Had a plus 1 in there because it was double negative, and then plus 4. So that's your answer to the third one. So that's called the point vertex form right there, point and vertex. Numbers 4, 5, and 6, we are going to look at the intercept form. Intercept form. Okay, so we have a formula for that too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to this side now. Leave 3 there for you so you can see it for now. Let's see. Okay, intercept form. Is this y equals, and it's still a, and now you got your two intercepts, x minus your first intercept times x minus your second intercept, and those are going to be called p and q. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Hopefully you've got the first 3 done, because I'm going to zoom in over here, so but you can always rewind the video and see those if you need to. Okay, so here's number 4. I'll put that over here. Okay, so we have y equals, well, we know we got to figure out what y is. Hold on. Okay, so they're giving us a point. So they're giving us an x and a y value. So y is actually 8. Okay, so y is 8. So 8 equals, we don't know what a is. We do know what x is. X was 11. We do know what the first intercept was. It was 10. And then 11 minus the second intercept was 6. So you're going to solve this with a equals, and then we've got 1 and 5. So it's 5 times 1 is 5 times a, it's just 5a. So just divide by 5, and you get your answer of a equals 8/5. So your equation then is y equals 8/5 x minus your first intercept times x minus your second intercept. Remember, the equations always have x and y in them. Now, we could have put it in our other format. Once we solve for a, we could have put it in our other format. We could do FOIL on these and all that kind of stuff. But right now, they're just asking you to put it in this equation, in this format. So let's go to number 5, right below it there. And we've got x and y would be 0 and 3 this time. So y is 3. So 3 equals, a we don't know, x we do know is 0, minus the first intercept of 2, times 0 minus the second intercept of 8. So now we can solve for a. So 3 equals -2 times -8 is going to be positive 16a. Divide by 16, and you're going to get 3/16 for a. So now we want to plug it into our equation. We're going to get y equals 3/16. Always keep x in the equation, so x minus 2 and x minus 8. Those are my two intercepts, and a is 3/16, and that would end up being a quadratic equation because when you do x times x, you'd be getting the x squared. So you would have an x squared in this equation. So you could do FOIL and put it in the same format we had before. That still works. That was 5. Number 6. Okay, hopefully you've got number 4 done because I'm going to move it up. Go to number 6 here so you can see it. Okay, x and y. X is -16, y is -8. And then we have our two intercepts. Okay, so y equals, which is -8 equals, a we don't know, but we do know our two intercepts. So it's x minus -14, which ends up being x plus 14. So it's always the opposite of whatever your intercept is, goes in the parentheses. So I'm just going to go straight to x plus 2 for the second one, because it would be x minus and then -2. Minus a negative would be the plus. So those are both positive inside. So you get -8 equals a. Oh, I forgot the x number. My bad. -16 was my x. I was putting x in the equation. So -16 plus 14 is going to be a 2. Negative. -16 and 2 is going to be -14. So it will be -8. -2 times -14 is going to be 28a. Divide by 28. And you're going to end up reducing those by 4. So if you divide 8 by 4, you're going to get a -2, and 28 divided by 4 is 7. So -2/7 is your a term. So when we plug that into our equation, you're going to get y equals -2/7 x plus your 14 and x plus your 2. So that would be your answer to 6. 1 through 6. Now we're not going to do 8. But I do want to look at 7, at least A and C on number 7. Okay, because I want to show you so if you have a picture, then you have a vertex and a point. Okay, so you could use the first formula, or you also have two intercepts, so you could actually use the second one as well. So you could use the first or the second and you'll get the same answer. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over to here so you can see it. Okay, here's 7. And we'll do 7a. And we're going to use the vertex as our h and our k. And the intercept, in this case, we're going to call it x and y for right now, 4 and 0. And we're using our point vertex form. So let me go back here for a second. You can see what I did. I put x and h and k as always the vertex. I just made this my x and y because it's on that point. And I'm going to plug it back into this format right here. Y equals, and we have our, okay, a we don't know. Or let's put in the y value. Sorry, the y value was a 0. Okay, so let's keep that there. So 0 equals, we don't know a. Then we want x. Now the x value was, what was the x value? Was a 4. So the x value is a 4. Minus, and the h value is on the top there. The h is a 1. So the h is 1. And then squared. And then plus k. Okay, so k was a 5, I believe. Yeah, k right here was a 5. Okay, so we're going to put a 5 in there. And now we can solve for it. Should be a quick one since we got a 0 there. Oops, we don't want to move that. This up. Okay, so 0 equals 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So 9a plus 5. Subtracting 5 gives us negative 5 equals 9a. And then dividing by 9. So your a value is negative 5/9. Our equation would be y equals negative 5/9 x minus 1 squared, and then plus 5. Now 7b, I'll put right next to it. Okay, 7b, we have our intercepts. We're going to look at the two intercepts, 4 and negative 2. Okay, so 4 and negative 2. So 4 and negative 2 are the intercepts. And an xy point, we're going to use the vertex, which is 1 and 5. So, and we know that 0.15 is on it. That's our x and our y. So we could plug in y equals 5 equals. A we don't know. X, actually we do know x. That's going to be a 1 minus 1 intercept. And 1 minus the second intercept. That's going to make it a plus because they're both negatives. Okay, so that's a plus and a positive. So you're going to get 5 equals negative 3 times positive 3 would be negative 9a. Divide by negative 9. And your a is going to equal negative 5/9. So your equation then will be y equals, your a is negative 5/9. You're going to have x minus 4 and x plus 2. Now, if you were to change both forms of this equation, or if you were even to type both of these into Desmos, both of those two equations into Desmos that we just found, you would see that we would have the exact same graph. So let's do that real quick, just so you can see that that does work. Okay, so the first equation that we had was y equals, then we did the first one was negative 5/9. and then parentheses, x minus 1, into parentheses, and then up caret and a 2 for squared, and then plus 5. Okay, so that's 1. Your second equation we did was y equals negative 5/9 x minus 4, and then x plus 2. And you can see that those equations are identical. On this, if I turn the blue off, you see the red. If I turn the blue on, you see the blue. So those two equations are identical. So both forms work. You're allowed to use either form on this. You could use the point slope form or the intercepts form depending on what you're given. So this is 2.4 practice A.